Hello, I'm Nicky from Manic Pretension.
And I'm Jimmy Bradfield, and we are going to give you a track-by-track explanation of all the tracks off on your album. Track 1 is called Peeled Apples. I was definitely one of my favourite lyrics on the record. It starts with the line, "The more I see, the less I scream." So it's inverting the cliche. It's just saying that I've tasted everything, I've tried everything, I've tried to believe in so many things, but they just don't fit. And it's probably one of the only songs on the record which felt that it was necessary to approach it in a very aggressive sense. It was just the final full stop to try to believe in something. And it was inspired by Pill.
Wobble, Submariner bass.
It was definitely
very in utero. With Steve Albini produced it, recorded it. It's raw. It's full.
You just wanted to make the ear move for this one.
Yeah, you want to feel like it hits you in your gut.
And I tried to channel John McGough on the guitar with this one, and that's what we're trying to do.
Track 2 from Journal for Plague Lovers is Jackie Collins' Existential Question Time. They just roll off the tongue. You could see why we haven't released any singles, but lyrically it's pretty impenetrable. But that goes for a lot of the words on this album. Musically, it was very influenced by bits of Pixies and this early Skids and Pierre Ubu. It's one of the lighter, poppier moments on the record until the last rasping minute of it. I don't know, it just feels like slightly...
Feels like one of the only songs that might have a touch of satire to it.
Yes, indeed.
The third song on Journal for Plague Lovers is me and Stephen Hawking. And around about the time that me and Nick were talking about this lyric, he was listening to the Minutemen quite a lot, Nickel and the Dime album, basically. And he kind of gave me the idea to actually perhaps try and be a bit inspired with a lot of the short, kind of sharp gaps that you get in Minutemen music. And you get little bits of lacerating guitar. And that kind of seemed to suit the lyrics because they were like very compressed haikus, and this has one of the more humorous moments on the record, and those gaps and those short, sharp shocks seem to kind of like suit all that. They seem to punctuate the whole lyric somehow. Anything to say about it, Wyatt?
No, I mean it's also got a funny little section which Steve Albini called the Ichiku Park section.
Park bit, phase out,
where two tape machines line up and phase, and it's very, very old school.
That was one of the more joyous moments because we were recording the tape and he copied Stephen Hawking, me and Stephen Hawking onto another tape and played them simultaneously, so that's how you get the phasing effect, and it was good watching him do that, wasn't it?
It's basically something that on a computer you could do in 30 minutes and it took us about 6 hours.
Yeah, it's kind of,
but it was worth it.
Smell the tape.
It was worth it because it's just, that's how it should be done. Track 4 on the record is This Joke Sport Severed. It's the first kind of slightly downbeat acoustic side to the record. It's a bit of an Elliott Smith influence. Jim's tracking his vocal, which he hates doing, but I kind of made him. It's got a white noise section, which is sort of inspired by Ashes of American Flags by Wilco, and then it comes out into this sort of tribal yeahs, Killing Joke, tour de force of Sean's drumming, and Sean absolutely loved making this album because Steve Albini's first priority is the drums.
You know Dave Aringer recorded these drums.
You're right, actually. Yeah. But Sean absolutely had a ball because he was just so over-appreciated by the Albini Meister. And lyrically, it's a difficult song. It just seems to be, I don't know, just going through all the complicated aspects of relationships and love and probably rejecting them all. But that's hard to tell because dear Richard is not around to explain himself.
The fifth track on the album is the title track, Journal for Plague Lovers. This is probably one of the most complete lyrics that he gave us in the book. We didn't really change it that much. And Nick's explained it perfectly earlier. He said, we want to make it sound as if we're playing a Rush song, but we were Magazine playing a Rush song. And sometimes it's just great to have an exercise that you can chase as a band. And that phrase, Rush being played by Magazine, that was, dare I say, a lot of fun for us to try and achieve that itself. And I think as a title track, it feels like part of a great 80s tradition. There were lots of albums in the 80s which had just brilliant title tracks, and they could never be singles, but they seemed to kind of sum up what the album was about without being too commercial. And so it's probably one of the most bits of fun we had on the record.
We tried to make the intro like Star Power by Sonic Youth, but it sounds like Hey Mickey, you're so fine, oh Mickey. So we move on to track 6. She bathed herself in a bath of bleach. Quite a shocking title. I think some people have definitely commented on that. Lyrically, it's hard to explain. Again, it seems to be about someone else other than Richie, although there's always the chance that it might apply to him. Musically, it is the closest to a homage to Nirvana, like a speeded up heart-shaped box or something like Off in Utero, but quite poppy as well. The chorus is very kind of 60s pop. It's got a wonderful Steve Jones guitar solo, and it's incredibly short. I think we found on this record that we were able to compress a lot of our ideas into much shorter soundscapes than we have done for a long time, which I actually think we're pretty proud of, because it's a really difficult trick to achieve.
Track 7 on the record is a song called Facing Page, top left. Probably one of the hardest songs to sing in terms of, just physically, just try and get the words out. And in a simple way, that was made me realise that it had to be an acoustic song, because doing a band version of this and trying to kind of get your voice to rise above the band when you're singing these kind of words would have been impossible. But there is the first line of the song is "Here I am, rise and shine," and there's probably lots of observation of when Richie spent time in treatment a tiny bit. There's probably just lots of observations in this lyric about how he thought that perhaps the treatment didn't fit him. Anyway, it's probably one of the gentlest songs on the record, and it's the only way it could have been.
Track 8 on the record, Marlon JD. Seems to be one of the more obvious tracks on the record, although, because Richie did have a fascination and a love of Marlon Brando and his complication and his self-destruction and his giving up of vanity as he got older. But it's called Marlon JD, which adds a bit of confusion because I don't know what the JD means. It's inspired by a film called Reflections in a Golden Eye, with Marlon Brando and Elizabeth Taylor, another one of Richie's favourite icons. Musically, I think it's one of the more cosmetic songs on the album. We didn't do this one with Steve Albini, we ran out of time. It's
produced by David Ellinger.
I wrote the tune, and James famously said to me, I forget the conversation, but
here we go again.
It basically said, "Well, you know Pavarotti, yeah."
I was trying to say, but your voice gives a good counterpoint to mine. It's more expressive in a different way, but I got insulted. But anyway,
he humbled me.
Yeah, right. But nowadays, it's kind of perhaps again, this is one of the songs that could have been on the Holy Bible. Perhaps.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot on this record which is markedly different to the Holy Bible, but this is one of the songs that could have fitted on. Especially because I've stolen the guitar solo from Pastor a tiny bit. The 9th track on the record is a song called Doors Closing Slowly. Probably not a lyric we want to talk about too much, because it's probably the most pessimistic and perhaps I might say it's one of the darker lyrics on the record. It's a song of resignation. It's a song of no possibilities left in terms of trying to believe in anything. And so we followed suit and
made a Doom death march.
Created a Chamber of Doom with perhaps the hint of Possession. That's that.
Number 10 on the record, All Is Vanity. I described it to James as a sister song to Mausoleum, because I think it's got that rhythmically it does echo the Holy Bible. I think it's really powerful, aggressive. There's hints of Killing Joke, and it's a meaty beast musically. Some amazing bass playing on there. And I guess it's Richie's perennial themes of vanity and how it engulfs you and how you try to resist it and disperse it. He did seem it was something he was particularly interested in or driven to. I'm not sure either way, but I guess that's my take on it.
Yeah, I just think I just absolutely love the drumming on this record, because I think Sean Antinimore, my cousin and now a bandmate, is one of the only drummers that can actually fuse post-punk sensibility with a rock sensibility as a drummer. I just think he's the best at doing that. So this one's a thumbs up for Sean.
Track 11 is Pretension, Repulsion, an unbelievably short song, maybe 2:04.
Yes.
There's a lot going on in there. It's one of the earliest songs written. At the time I just thought it would be the opening track. I thought it was just absolutely phenomenal.
We lost confidence in this song for a short period.
We did,
didn't we?
only because we'd done it so much and it just wasn't quite
Jelly.
right. But it all came together at the end. It's one of the great rock couplets. The shards, oh the shards, the androgyny fails, odalisque by Ingrays, extra bones for sale. I think it just really resonates and sticks with me, those two lines. Not that they're particularly easy to say or sing.
Track number 12 is called Virginia State Epileptic Colony.
Epileptic. No, epileptic it is.
Epileptic, I did say that.
You said epileptic. Anyway.
Kind of a DJ's nightmare and a singer's nightmare. I kind of this song is based on something that Richie researched. This is something that he was interested in, and you could probably go and do the same. But I think we want to keep the feel of this song. I think we want to keep a hint of sarcasm to it, because there's a fair deal of sarcasm in the lyric. And it's definitely a song which is influenced by the lighter moments of Wire, which they'll probably be.
And that's not me.
Yeah, and they'll probably be kind of like
Before,
disturbed to hear that, because they probably don't like us.
Before they signed to Mute and became one of the worst bands. When they were on a major label, they were great, but when they signed to Mute, they just had fucking 15 years of utter shit.
There you go.
Track 13, final kind of bit of glory on the record. It's a track called William's Last Words, which some people say I sing it, but I actually just sigh. I'm not a singer, I'm a sigher. And I wrote the music for this. I gave a demo to James, and he kind of thought it was really interesting. And I think he
I didn't say it was really interesting. I thought it was amazing.
No, you didn't.
I did. Jesus Christ.
No Pavarotti,
Jesus.
he said. But I think James thought he'd oversing it and turn it into something almost too good. It is. Bizarrely, Steve Albini seemed to really take to this record.
Bizarrely, I can't remember Steve ever saying, James, that vocal was amazing. But when he did his vocal, he was just like, I think that's amazing.
It obviously reminded him of Smog or Slint or something, because it's fairly amateur, the vocal. But
I mean, to be honest, sometimes you just, when a song has been written, you know when it's the last song on the record. And as soon as this song was finished as a demo, we knew it was the final song on the record. It was just obvious. And that's kind of when we knew when the record was going to work. We had the first track of the album written, Peeled Apple. We knew that'd be the opening track. And we had the closing track of the album written, William's Last Words. And we kind of knew everything in between was going to be much easier after that.
And I mean, it's just beautiful words. It's touching, it's sad, it is. I guess some people would take it as being pretty bleak, but there's also a serenity to the words, and whether they're autobiographical or not, we really don't know. But certainly, the implication there, I guess, is some kind of apex of calmness has finally descended upon the beautiful boy.
Yeah, it's the perfect closing track, obviously, I think.